Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Haidt.
And I'm Chelsea Duh.
And this week we're tackling the question mark biggest horror movie of the summer question mark. There's a lot of options, so that's kind of a bold statement, but that's
You could
what I've
make an
been hearing
argument.
on the web.
The scariest movie of all time, maybe? Is this it?
No.
And maybe for some people it is,
Maybe for
but
some
maybe
people.
not for us. But we
Not for other
are
people.
tackling the movie with the most buzz of the year probably so far in the horror genre, and that's Longlegs.
Longlegs.
He's got his long legs on.
I wish that I could have just done a reenactment of the singing part that Nic Cage does. I tried to start, and then I was like, I have no idea what words he says at all, and it would have been really upsetting for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And it was upsetting in the film as well too. And I don't want to half-ass it. That's beautiful art that was happening in this movie. That's something probably we can all agree on, that Nicolas Cage surely was doing something in this movie.
Yeah, he was definitely acting.
He was acting, and I loved it. But here, let me do the IMDb logline, and then we can dive into it. Here we go. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this movie is one that had a Blair Witch style, maybe, marketing effort behind it, because I haven't seen a marketing plan that has been this effective in a really, really, really long time. Because, like, say what you want about what you think about the movie, but they did get people's asses in fucking
They got butts and seats
for this movie. Yeah, they did. And I was like really, really, really excited for this one because Neon slayed this marketing so well. Like, it really, I know Sydney and I were like on the trailers for this from like moment one, and we're so into it.
And then you dialed it back being like, no more trailers. No more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I've learned from being a trailer girly. After what happened with Smile, we talked about it on one of our Patreon trailer reactions. I ruined Smile for myself because I watched the trailer and they put everything in the fucking trailer. So now I try to only watch like the first trailer, the teaser trailer for movies, because I don't want to know. I don't want to fucking know. But this movie, I don't know. They teased it so lightly that you really had no fucking clue what you're going to get when you went into this movie. And I think because of that, it cast like a really wide net. But at least for me, somehow, even though it gave us crumbs, I had this whole idea of what it was going to be. And it was just so completely different than that. Like, I had no idea what I thought about this movie until I saw it the second time. Like, I really didn't know at all.
Wait, what did you think it was going to be?
I don't know. I didn't think, it's not like I had like an idea of exactly what it was, but I didn't expect it to be paranormal necessarily. And so it was super paranormal. It was very tonally like strange. Not, I don't think in a bad way, I think in a really good way, but I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting the scariest movie of the year, and that's like a certain type of horror for me that's more visceral and like gory and like on the screen, than this movie, which was very much more atmospheric horror, which I fucking love. I just wasn't expecting that necessarily.
Sometimes you go in and you're surprised and that's great. And then sometimes you go in and you were expecting something else and it really takes a while for things to settle.
Totally.
I think this movie's marketing was way better than the actual movie and kind of maybe did like a disservice to the movie because like the movie is really good in its own way, but like I think what people were expecting and like what they got were like two different things. And I don't know about you, like once you kind of figure out what's going on, I was kind of disappointed because this is people were calling this like this generation Silence of the Lambs and all this kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
lots of Silence of the Lambs comps.
And
A
then
lot.
it has like a supernatural element and I was just like, ugh, I want it to just kind of be a bad guy.
Yeah. No, I mean, Chelsea and I talked about this a little bit. The marketing obviously worked. And so you can't say like that it did a disservice to the movie. You can say it did a disservice to the movie in some regards, but in a serving the fact that the movie is a way to make money, it worked really, really, really
Yes.
well, you know?
Yeah.
It got those booties into seats. But I agree with you on it being a little misrepresentational because it just really made you think this was going to be like Zodiac or a serial killer movie, you know what I mean? And so I just thought it would be a little bit more straightforward of a movie, I guess. But I mean, I really did love what it was. I really love like all of the empty space almost in the movie, like the cinematography that leaves you just like paused in the uncomfortable energy of the movie. And like I thought that was really, really beautiful, but it's completely a devil movie, 100%. And so
Mhm.
it just was super, super jarring. And Chelsea, I mean, I don't want to steal what you said, but we were talking about how it got so many asses into seats and that might have
Yeah.
skewed the reviews.
Yeah, I was chatting a little with Erica from Homies of Horror also because I was listening to their podcast when I was driving to the theater to see it the first time. And we both kind of got the impression that this movie, because of its marketing campaign, like escaped containment a little bit and it just reached the broader movie going audience rather than the horror specific audience, especially with the
100%.
comps to Silence of the Lambs, which is such like a generally popular Oscar winning genre defying movie in many ways. And so I think it just got a lot of people who don't usually go see horror as much to see it. And so a lot of the people who were like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen. It's like, okay, and how many scary things are you regularly watching? Like, or was this like the one that you're seeing this year and it's better than the one that you saw last year and XYZ? You know what I mean? So it seems like
No,
a lot
totally.
of it got a lot of people who aren't going to horror movies, and it was like very scary and mind blowing in many ways for that audience. A lot of the people I've talked to who are big horror people, maybe on a second watch it is more of like a grower, but they're kind of just like, okay, what was the buzz about, which is how I felt the first time. Like it
Yeah.
was fine, it was good, but it was just a movie.
It didn't
I
live
think,
up
yeah,
to
it
the
was,
hype. Like it was a good movie, but not the scariest movie of the year.
Yeah.
well, it was giving like the reviews were giving like blockbuster level of things. And I'm like, I just saw Twisters. I didn't feel the full range of human emotion like I did when I saw Twisters. That's a blockbuster, baby. But this is
Now
actually
that's a movie.
no,
What a
that's a movie.
movie.
No, I mean, I really want to say like I was for sure underwhelmed at first, but on the second watch, like this is a movie that hits all of the things that me, Monica Haidt, personally looks for in a horror movie. Like this is like the slow burn, ambiance, creepy, weird shit that I fucking love. So
It's got
like
a lot there for you on a rewatch too. There's a lot to pick up on when you're watching it a
totally.
second time.
Yeah, and it has a lot of like intentional or non-intentional homages to movies that I fucking love. So we'll get into that later. But yeah, I just really think like prime example, I went and saw this by myself both times, but the first time I was very nervous to be seeing it by myself because of all of the fucking like marketing saying it was the scariest thing of all time.
Yeah,
I was
she was
in the
in our
Discord chat up
Discord.
until
Yeah.
the moment,
In
like
our
our
Discord,
our
which you
Patreon
could also
Discord.
be in for only $5 or $8.
Yeah.
I was in it up until the second before the movie started, being like, am I gonna be okay, guys?
Am
Like,
I
do
gonna
you
die?
think maybe I'm gonna be okay? And I was okay.
She
But the
survived
girl
it.
who sat next to me was also there by herself, and we got to talking after the movie. And she's exactly the person that you're just describing, Chelsea. She loves Silence of the Lambs, but she doesn't watch horror movies. And she told me that she came to watch this movie because she loves Silence of the Lambs, and those were the vibes that she was looking for. And she was very not put off, but like unsure about all the supernatural elements of it, because she just thought that she was gonna be getting something else. But she also,
I
we were
think
both
the
just still
vibes are
ruminating on it.
100% there. The Silence of the Vibes comparisons
The
are
silence
completely
of the vibes.
Vibes.
Oh, the Vibes of the Lambs comparisons are completely warranted. And you know, like I see what they're talking about. And also I know I just said vibes twice. One was on purpose, one was on accident to be a little silly. But the vibes of the like slow burn investigation, like people are kind of off. People are like, I've got a little secret. That is very much present in this movie as well. But yeah, obviously Silence of the Lambs is very like rooted in our world. And this is also, but it really depends on how open you personally are to believing in paranormal experiences outside of movies.
And the
Yeah.
devil.
And the devil specifically.
Also, I think that, if we're sampling like all of America, I do think that religious horror like hits people in a different place sometimes than it does necessarily to the three of us, because
I
I
kind
don't
of
have
feel
the
like
Fair.
fear of God in me,
Devil.
you
Well, Devil,
know?
I think it occupies a slightly different space than like The Conjuring. You know what I mean? Like this movie wasn't like we need a priest to do an exorcist. It
Yeah,
was just like evil
totally.
is real.
But devil
Um,
stuff like really fucking freaks people out. And the fact that it's like
yeah,
about kids and like
yeah.
family annihilators and that sort of thing, like that is
Family
some
annihilators
heavy
are
stuff.
very real and very scary.
Very true. I've seen Criminal Minds.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's interesting because like with the whole Silence of the Lambs thing, I read a lot of interviews with Osgood Perkins, who's the director of this, and or just Oz, if we're being
If we're
colloquial with
besties.
it. If we're just homies, he actually goes by Oz in most of the things. But Osgood is so fancy. I love
Yeah.
that name. It's so good. But he made this like analogy that I don't totally understand what he was saying, but he's like, Silence of the Lambs is like you're playing the piano. The movie is a piano, and your left hand, that's Silence of the Lambs. That's the structure. I don't play the piano, and then the right hand is doing something else. And he made this reference in different ways in like 3 different interviews, and I'm like, I don't
I don't
totally get it.
know.
I
What
don't
if
totally get it.
could
But
you
like
do one more metaphor?
he was like, what if I came to this movie and the
Like
only
I'm
thing I brought
making a
with
sandwich with this hand, and this hand over here, it's flipping a pizza.
Wait,
Ooh.
he was like, what if I came to this movie and the only thing I brought with me was fucking Silence of the Lambs? That would be fucking stupid. Like this was like in an interview video I was watching for Letterboxd. He was
You
like,
need mustard on your sandwich.
Can you imagine I only did it's a music reference, not a sandwich thing. Stop trying to
I
make
was
it a
trying to
sandwich
make
thing.
it understandable for the masses.
Chelsea, stop trying to make sandwich happen. It's never gonna happen.
I
Stop trying to make
love sandwich. This is outrageous.
Okay, wait, but then here's another thing. He made this reference again. So he did the left hand thing being Silence of the Lamb, and then the right hand is something else. And then there's this whole article that I read from Rolling Stone, which is about the influence of T-Rex, specifically the glam rock band T-Rex on this film.
That's right.
Uh,
Because it's got the quote in the
and
beginning too.
That's the quote in the beginning. And he said, think of it like playing a piano. If the left hand is playing the plot, the right hand is playing the soul. And then he said, the right hand is playing the spirit. The right hand is playing the art, the mystery, the wonder, the curiosity, the beauty, the glamour. So I'd say the T-Rex stuff has nothing to do with the plot, but everything to do with the vibe. I thought it was pretty iconically dramatic quote. I love Oz. He's my
He
guy.
loves vibes. All right, noted.
He just said this movie's gonna only be about vibes.
This is about vibes.
It's vibes. It's vibe. It's there's I don't know. I love the T-Rex part of it. I love the T-Rex part of it so much because one of the things that I saw before I saw this movie, or like maybe the weekend after when I was still ruminating, was this article that came up from them, the queer publication, about like, is this movie queer phobic? And there's been like some ruminations online that like Nicolas Cage's character Longlegs is like trans coded in a negative way, and it's like doing the like queer monster type of thing again. And I'm like, for me, I hadn't read the article yet. I thought I was going to be saying yes, and I was so mad. And then Chelsea read it in front of me and told
Preemptively
me,
mad. Yeah, the subtitle is like, no.
No.
"What?
No,
I
it's
only
not.
saw the title. I was like, no, I don't influence me. Let me have my own thoughts." And we're on the same page actually. But like when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, he's got an uncanny different kind of look going on for him. But also I'm like, that boy is doing a glam rock thing. That's what that is. That's a glam
Yes.
rock thing. He loves T-Rex. Longlegs loves T-Rex. He loves Lou Reed, and that's who he is, and it's his whole vibe, and that's what's going on there, okay? And he also loves a little cosmetic surgery, and that's totally fine. He's giving that Jocelyn vibes. Good for him.
He loves
We
a
love
lot
that.
of cosmetic surgery, actually.
Yeah. But I just thought it
Vibes
was
are
so
kind of like
interesting.
that guy who wanted to be a Ken doll, who
Oh.
had like a zillion surgeries to be Ken
Oh,
doll.
yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, you guys know who Jocelyn is, right? Let me make sure that's her name. Jocelyn, cat lady. Google.
Oh, yes.
Jocelyn Wildenstein. And she has like extensive, yeah, she's had like all of this facial surgery done, and she like looks like a cool cat. She kind of looks like a cat. It's very exciting. She sees like cosmetic surgery as like an art form, similar to the makeup artist Alexis Stone. I'm a big fan of them. They do a lot of prosthetic makeup where they like will show up to like New York Fashion Week or some fashion week, and he showed up as Mrs. Doubtfire in full prosthesis, looked exactly like Mrs. Doubtfire, showed up as Jocelyn one time, and all this stuff. So I just, some people get the cosmetic surgery to create an uncanny, artistically designed face.
This is actually
And
super
that's
relevant to the fact
Longlegs'
that
passion.
the Uglies movie trailer dropped recently, and Sydney revealed she didn't know those books because they get plastic
haven't read
surgery to
them.
become the pretties. And then there's specials, which is the third book, where some of them get fancy, extra weird, freaky surgeries to be special. And then there's extras,
Oh.
which is the fourth one. But I don't remember that one as well.
Okay.
But I read
I
them.
remember hearing about them back in the
Back
day.
in the day.
But I just think that it's so clear that there's like a glam rock thing going on with him. And it's so interesting because like apparently just for some reason Oz got like obsessed with T-Rex like as he was writing this, and so it just became like a part of the whole writing process for him. So it was really cosmic also to this T-Rex thing, because apparently when this was brought to Nicolas Cage, like when Oz met with Nicolas Cage and was like, hey, by the way, there's a T-Rex energy happening. He said, this is the quote. I said to him, look, Nick, I don't know what this means to you, but I think it's T-Rex. I didn't even know what that sentence was. The music is T-Rex. That guy is T-Rex. I wasn't sure what I meant by it. And he said, that's so crazy because yesterday my oldest son, who is learning to play the guitar, I played for him Mark Bolan's backward guitar solo on Cosmic Dancer. So totally apropos of nothing. He was listening to the same thing that I was listening to, and it was further proof from the universe that I was making the right choice.
They're
T-Rex
soul linked.
beamed down into this film.
Basically, instead of like Brat Summer, Oz was having a T-Rex summer or whenever this was filmed.
Well, apparently the title wasn't always Longlegs when he was working on this. IMDb trivia said that at one point it was "You've got the teeth of the Hydra upon you," and two
That's
other
a really
teasers.
long title.
I know. Well, two other teasers were named Dirty and Sweet, all of which are like from the lyrics that are in the very beginning up on screen, because those lyrics are the lines, well, you're slim and you're weak, you've got the teeth of the Hydra upon you, you're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl,
You're
from
dirty,
Bang a
sweet, and
Gong,
you're
Get It
my
On.
girl. Yeah, I love that song. And I love it. Does it end with that song, or is it Get It On? Is the No, it's that's the
Couldn't
same
tell
song.
ya.
It's the same
Oh,
song.
Bang a Gong,
It
Get It
ends,
On. Yeah, that's
yeah. And that's the song that plays when the title, or not the titles,
The
the
credits.
roll. And I
when they
didn't
roll
notice
the opposite way.
which is honestly
Yeah.
so unsettling.
That was very
It's
creepy.
the
That was
upside
good.
down triangle.
And also the red too. Like that
Yeah.
like
Oh my God.
specific color red.
The whole movie is incredibly unsettling, and that I think is where the horror lies, is just like it makes you deeply uncomfortable, and I think it's really, really effective, like in that way, in that kind of like beautiful, unnerving horror. And again, that's where it was just a different type of horror than I was expecting from the scariest movie of the year. That's a really
Mhm.
effective type of horror, but when you say scariest movie of the year, my brain goes other places.
Different
can't
things are
tell you
scary
where.
to different people. I mean, that makes complete
Exactly.
sense that, like, you hear scariest thing ever, you're going to invent something different in your head than I am.
I was like body horror, but we didn't really get that.
Well, you see that
Yeah,
one
a
rotting
little.
corpse of a child in a bed for half
That's
of
true.
a second. So,
That was disgusting.
That was gross.
But like from moment one, it was so unsettling because I loved the like vibrant red with the black text, and like I don't know if this happened for you guys, but that like inverted image thing with your eyes happened to me, where like anything, because it
Ah.
was so vibrant, like the words stayed on the screen, and it just was like really felt like it was being burned into my retinas, which it
Whoa.
wasn't,
Has
but
she
it was
been
like
influenced?
unsettling too. I
Is
was
there a
very
doll of her
influenced.
somewhere in this world?
Suddenly.
Oh.
They gave
Oh.
me a little bookmark when I saw it the first time.
Ooh, love that.
Very exciting.
It
It
is
even says
interesting.
Burbank on the back. How cool.
Wow. It is interesting how little Nicolas Cage as Longlegs was like in the marketing. Like, I think those are his eyes, I assume. But other than that, Osgood Perkins really did not want him to be like the face of this movie, which makes sense also because he's so unsettling to look at that you want to save that emotion for when you're sitting in the theater watching. You know, you don't want to desensitize people to it before they even get there.
It does that classic thing that we always talk about on the pod, where they don't show you the monster so you can imagine what it is. Like even once the movie has begun, you see like his chin only for like the first 45 minutes or something like that. You don't
You only
you
see
don't
his
get
long
that.
legs in frame.
Nary a leg,
And-
quite frankly.
He's out of frame because he's wearing his long legs, Sydney. I read an article that was like, "This is why the movie is called Longlegs," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Beep, 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 beep. I wrote my little notes down.
Because he says long legs that one
He
time.
says he's wearing his
Right.
long legs, and that's why he's out of frame. He's too tall. Gotta crouch down to their level. Actually, that's
Beautiful.
another joke that I'm prepared to make. Not only this is about Neon's marketing again. Back to the marketing for this movie. They're clearly just on their game in general, because not only do they get butts and seats, they also had some viral, subtle, undercover marketing for Cuckoo in this movie, which is another Neon property. Cuckoo.
Oh, yeah.
So
I can't wait to see that movie.
they just planted it in here so you go see that movie too.
And also I like learned what cuckooing means, if I remember this correctly, from
What
when
does it mean?
Okay, so there's the cuckoo bird, which like it has eggs and it deposits eggs in like other birds' nests because it doesn't want to like raise its own eggs, and it just hopes that like whatever
Absentee
bird
father.
will well, absentee mother, because it is laying eggs.
So true.
But so like cuckooing is like moving in, hold on, what is it? There it's like an
Taking
actual
over the
term.
nest.
Something like that.
I've heard of this before.
Where people take over a person's home and use the property to facilitate exploitation.
Damn.
Fascinating.
That's really interesting. I love that. Well, I don't love that as a concept, but
I
Well, now
love that concept. Wow, Monica does vehicular
Canceled again.
manslaughter.
Manslaughter.
She loves exploitation.
Monica wants to
I
get
love
canceled.
squatting in someone's house and ruining their life. That's my favorite thing.
Well, but
Wow.
for this one, like they can say like they're using the dolls, the creepy dolls that we find
Mhm.
like later as Satan is cuckooing these families with his creepy little dolls.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting.
Do you think Osgood Perkins watched Annabelle Creation in preparation for this movie?
He better have.
If
Can
he's
I
doing his homework, if he's doing his horror homework.
can I tell you that when I saw this movie and I saw it, I think I saw it before both of you guys had. And I was like, God damn it. I don't know when Chelsea's gonna see it. So I don't know if I'll have time to lay the groundwork for my campaign to turn August into Doll Month 2 somehow. I was like, does it make sense if we just do 3 weeks of a doll month? We could do 3. That's fine. We're not doing that, by the way. We're not.
Only 3 weeks.
But I was like, oh God, what an see, that's another thing that made me pissed off. I was like, I didn't know that there were going to be dolls in this because the marketing was so ambiguous. If I had known, we could have had Doll Month Part 2.
We would have had
God
more time to
damn
plan.
Damn, we'll just have to wait. There'll be more doll movies. We'll do Megan too. It'll be fine.
Oh,
I
yes.
do feel Annabelle Creation, though, there's nuns in that movie. There's doll making in that movie. There's
Mhm.
devil adjacency in that movie. Evil spirits, at least. Demons, at least.
Demons at minimum.
There's a lot.
Children are at risk. Children are being
Children.
possessed.
Oh my God. There's a lot
I
of
saw
shared.
a cuckoo bird in the background in one scene.
She's reaching. She's reaching.
It was taking over a nest. I saw it.
Oh man. I also just think the beginning of this movie was really well done to like introduce
Part
how they
one, his letters, or
Yeah.
before that, even the prologue.
I love the prologue too. You go.
Sometimes I
Sorry.
just feel like when it says like part 1, part 2, sometimes that just feels like really unnecessary to me. You know, like just like this movie didn't need the weird like heart. It's like the specific calling out of the parts. I took a note. I
Yeah.
was like, why is this necessary?
It's just all like artistic jazz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I didn't clock part 1, his letters, the first time I watched it. I only noticed when it did part 2, and then I went, wait, what was part 1? So I was paying attention to those title cards the third time, and it is like an interesting introduction to that part of the movie and like what you're supposed to focus on most, or like what the takeaway from that section is. But I see your point that I don't know that anything in particular was like added to the movie by splitting it into 3 sections. I mean, there's always the traditional 3-act structure of a movie, so like it kind of already has that to a degree.
Mhm.
But I think it's one of those things where on a rewatch you understand what it's doing more. And if I could really, hit rewind 15 seconds when I'm in the movie watching this, then I think I really would have better appreciation for some parts of it. But the fact that it's still only in theaters means, yeah, I saw it twice, but shouldn't take any notes. So
I think that it could also go into the whole like police procedural setup for this, where it's like an investigation. So it's like this part of the investigation is focused on the letters. And then honestly, I don't fucking remember what a single other one of those part 1, 2,
part
or 3
1 was
say.
his letters. Part 2 is all your stuff or all your things. But I think stuff, because then she has like her chest at home that she goes into that says like Lee's stuff or whatever.
Mhm.
And then part 3 is birthday girls.
I think it's just there to be another creepy thing like what the fuck does that mean? Just to like
It's
keep you guessing again.
atmospheric in the
It's
same way that they have like
atmospheric.
the red square that like slowly grows in the beginning, and
Yeah, I like
Maybe.
just
that
like playing with shape and color and
Yeah.
vibe.
it's all like this movie like is coming at you like with atmospheric horror. It's just supposed to seep under your skin and make you feel unsettled, and that's the main way that it's getting to you. Yes, you do see the gory body and stuff like that. Yes, there are some jump scares, but the horror itself is very like it's like the horn thing throughout the movie. It's like blink and you miss it almost, just like sprinkled in these little horrific things or these little unsettling things that you might not even notice. It's like a building sense of dread, not like a big bang boom.
Yeah, I
kind
found
of
out that you
thing.
could like see the devil behind her, like Lee Harker, as soon as you would like throughout the movie. And I didn't notice it the first time. And I knew about it going in the second time. Didn't see it at all. Except for like the
Are you
shadow,
seeing
which was
anything
like
now?
really no. I just
You
see
don't see
Monica.
anything now?
Monica's beautiful face.
You
I
not
All
looked
seeing
that I
away
see.
anything
to look
now?
at for this entry on IMDb trivia, and I did completely miss you putting it up. So I came back over and I was like, whoa, scary.
You didn't see it? Oh no. I did catch those, not all of them, because I was like, I'm gonna fucking count the second time around. And I told Chelsea, I was like, yeah, it happened
There's
6 times. And I was like, guess what, bitch? There's 15 times. I looked it up. It's on the screen 15
Yeah.
times. So I missed it
I
a
only
lot.
saw one,
but
so
I
that's
really-
better than me. And the one that I saw was the most obvious
Is
one.
it the one in the
The one where he's
library when
behind
she's
the kid?
researching?
Yeah, it's the
and-
one behind the child when it's like an
Yeah, when like
obvious shadow.
literally
It's like
the
so
devil.
obvious. And I
Yeah. I noticed
Oops.
at least one or two when I saw it the first time, and then Monica was telling me about it. So I really was looking the second time, but I guess I misunderstood what she was saying because I was like, and I'm not seeing anything. But Neon uploaded a video on their YouTube channel called Look Closer, where it like tallies them and goes through them. So I'll have to check that out. I didn't before recording, but
Ooh, I
anybody
wanted to
can
find
go
something like that.
find that and see what the deal is. So
I loved that detail. Okay, what did you guys think about Maika Monroe in this movie? Like about the character of Lee Harker?
she's incredibly autistic coded.
I am here for that read. I also think spoilers for the movie. Spoilers for the did you guys get that yet?
I'm
think
wearing
there
these
is an
horns because I love
argument-
Maleficent. It has nothing to do with the spoiler of the film.
We're here to talk about other movies today. Yeah, I think there is an argument that can be made that her development was stunted at that age in the beginning. And so like normal adult social development is not something she's really experienced or able to experience. And that kind of contributes to like this inability to connect sort of for her and for her mom, who is stunted in completely different ways. But she obviously, like, to some degree, people around her are not bothered by it, like the FBI boss is like, let's get a drink, blah, blah. Like he's having a great time. His daughter Ruby immediately is like, will you come to my birthday party? Like they're chilling. Like you think Leah's being like weird about it, and she is being weird about it, but clearly not in a way that is like off-putting or upsetting. So
But not too weird about it,
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
I
she can
think-
come to party.
I think it's just like a very socially strange person, and then like she's still really fucking good at her job and like is psychic. So they're like,
Yes.
well, she's still great at being in the FBI. So this isn't gonna hinder her career in any way.
Do we think she is psychic independent of any of this, or do we think it's the devil within her that is
the devil within
It's
her.
the devil within her, 100%. I think that because she has part of this evil in her, she can sense evil elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
So it's like
Mhm.
a honing beacon for more
Like
devil
calls
shit.
to like, baby.
Exactly. I loved that scene where she
And then
first has that inkling about that home, and they made such it's like a street of all of the same house, pretty much those cookie cutter houses, but that shot made that house look so fucking terrifying.
Mhm.
I really thought the cinematography was bangarang
Yeah.
to be
I said to this
scientific.
to Monica the other day, but when the moment when they go into the barn at the Camera family farm and they're like the light beams coming in and it's like the dust, like there are some shots in this movie that are very beautiful.
Super stunning. And I mean, that part was really like scary in the way that I was expecting more, when all of a sudden the partner goes up to the door and then he's just bing bang boom, shot in the head, dead the first second. Like, I was expecting it to be more graphic, honestly. I guess that's what I think of when I think of the scariest movie of all time, is something
Or a horror movie
terrifier
being
level gore.
extreme. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's an easy jump to make. Sydney, what were you gonna
totally.
say?
Uh, that part where she's like looking at the door and her partner is like, well, you go check this and I'll go check this, is the only part of the movie that made me jump. It like was a jump scare where he
Mm,
just gets immediately shot.
yeah.
And it got
And
me both times. Even when I knew it was coming, I was like, oh my God. It was the only like jump scare part of this movie for
Mhm.
me. So if
But
you like jump scares, it has one.
it's got one. Did
It
you
has
like it?
two.
Did it
It
hit
has
for
two.
you?
That was the only one
It
that
has
made me jump.
there's one at the end when she finally finds the picture of Nicolas Cage in her thing of
Mm.
pictures, and she touches it and she like has a vision. There's one other guy in the theater with me when I saw it on Thursday, and he like nearly flew out of his fucking seat. He like shot into the sky. So it works on some people.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, with that opening scene where they're canvassing the neighborhood, I think it is a lot of like recognizes like, because it's not just that she hones in on the house, it's also that the guy shoots her partner immediately as soon as he opens the door, and then like immediately surrenders to her. You know what I mean? He goes
Mhm.
upstairs, but it would presumably he didn't have only one bullet. He just, for
Yeah.
whatever reason, felt compelled, or there was some degree of recognition, whatever was going on there. It seems like they both felt it.
Yeah. And just back to like the characterization of Lee Harker and her mother. Like, you said this a little bit, Chelsea, but like, I think that having the devil have such an influence on your life and to live wholesale in your fucking head, as he seems to do at least partly for Lee, would have like an effect on how you interact with your daily life, and how you speak and how you are just in every essence, you know? Like, she's has to be as human as she can, but she has something in there, you know, that is controlling her mind, at least to some extent, because though she has free will and all this stuff, she like, it's clear towards the end that like whatever this presence is like stopping her memory from remembering different things that happened in her childhood, different things her mother has done that she might have seen, to keep her innocent of it or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the reason why she's so weird.
In part one, his letters. She gets the letter in her house from Longlegs that gives her the key to decode the messages. And then when her boss later is like, how did you know that? And she's like, I just looked for long enough. Like, she could certainly be lying and like hiding and like not wanting to admit that. But I also think you could make an argument that she does not really remember, in the same way that she kind of like all of it gets wiped away a little bit with him.
I would agree with you on that, except for something because I didn't get that the first time. I was like, why won't she tell them? And it's because when she decodes the message on the back of the card, it says, like, I will rip your mother limb from limb and skin her
Mhm.
if you tell anyone. So, like, if you tell anyone that you got this letter. So she was
Mhm.
being threatened, like her mom was being threatened. And so I think that was why she withheld that information from the police.
Okay,
Because obviously if he can walk right into her fucking house, he can walk right into
sure.
her mom's
Yeah.
house too.
Well,
Um,
and he does all the time, as it turns out.
yes, because he
Um,
lives there. That's his
Right?
house actually.
yeah,
He's
but
just
also
chilling.
it's just chilling downstairs. It's just the man downstairs, right under your feet. But I also did think it was interesting the way she interacts with her mom. Every time she calls her mom, she's like, "Hi, mom," and her mom is like, "Lee." And she's like, yes, it's still me, still your only child, still Lee. Who else would it be? Is very much her vibes. But if we're coming at this from like the possession devil aspect, you can kind of imagine that her mom is always waiting for the moment when Lee is not Lee anymore. And
And
she does that
I
thing
like
about like
that.
you have to say your prayers every night to keep the devil away. Like that's the thing that's going to protect you from the devil. Cuz her mom forgot, but also obviously didn't forget. She's just like actively trying to repress, and how much can she actively be repressing when she's continuing these activities regularly? So she knows what's going on with Lee. She knows about the doll. She knows about the brain inside of it. And she's just always kind of aware that like things could change, and you have to say your prayers so that hopefully they don't change. And Lee's like,
Yeah.
and I'm saying them, and then later she's like, and I never did.
Yeah, I
That's the
think
devil in you, girl.
also like watching this, I don't know. I realized recently that I've seen an Osgood Perkins movie before, and I did not
Mm-hmm.
know. I've seen The Black Coat's Daughter. And I saw that. Okay, there's balloon. Hooray! I've seen The
There's
Black Coat's
balloons.
Daughter. There's balloons.
Yay!
Yay!
You're supporting cinema. You're supporting Osgood. You're a big fan.
Which okay, it stars Kiernan Shipka. That's a hard name to say.
She's so
And so
cute.
she's so cute. That makes a lot of sense as to
She's
why
also
she
in
would have
Twisters.
her great little cameo in this movie because they've worked together before. But I didn't love Blackcoat's Daughter when I saw it, but I saw it like a really, really, really long time ago. And I feel like now I've seen so many other weirder fucking movies. I have a better appreciation for movies that are weird. And I want to go back and watch that again. So I think he keeps that weird tone a lot of the time. And it reminded me of some of the direction I've seen from Yorgos Lanthimos, actually, because it reminded me a lot of The Killing of the Sacred Deer. The way that Lee and her mother act, they just act like a little inhuman, like obviously human, but like just like something is like off,
Different.
you're like different. Why are you acting like that? In Killing of the Sacred Deer, literally everyone is like that. Every character is like that, and it can be a very grating movie to watch because of that. So that was in the back of my head when I saw this movie, especially on the second watch. And then I was reading these interviews with Osgood, and he was like, and I was very inspired by Dogtooth, but by Yorgos Lanthimos. And I was like, okay, so that could be
You're the neighborhood.
there where I'm in the neighborhood. I haven't seen that one, so I can't speak to it. But I think it's also really interesting in this movie. The background characters in it are so like they like pop to me so much because they are like normal people, and like in the comparison and contrast to like an average upbeat kind of person compared to Lee and her mom, like they really pop. Like the girl in the convenience store, loved her, thought she was so funny. She
I really
so
liked the flight attendants you saw in the back of the bar when she's having the drink with her boss.
In
That
like the
was like a
weird
very
vintage
interesting,
hat.
visible choice to me. Yeah, to be like, this is
yeah.
so specific, so like visually recognizable, and like kind of draws focus a little to just like plop in there. Cause I was like, somebody made a choice to hunt down those uniforms.
No, yeah, I loved that. And then also the guy who is the like, I don't know, in charge of the psychiatric ward or whatever that
Oh, that would have
Kieran
been a good
Shipka's
idea
character
to
is
check
in.
IDs.
He is
Right?
so
That was
funny.
so
Also, he's a
funny.
king. He's
Oh,
he's
that does sound
queer
like something we should
representation in
do.
the film. He was hilarious. So I thought that all of those characters like in the background really shined in comparison to the strange stilted folks that we're mostly seeing the whole time. Not stilted in a bad way, just like in a literal way. That's just kind of how they are. But yeah, I also really liked her boss too. I thought that he was funny and
He's cool. I like him a
Yeah.
lot, that actor.
a cool
What's his name?
foil to her.
Blair
So
Underwood. What a cool name. What a
that
hot
is
guy.
a cool
That
name.
is
Blair
a
Underwood.
really hot
He was in
name,
Agents of
actually.
Shields, so
Is
I
he
love men with like feminine names, quite frankly.
Blair.
Blair is
That's
a
a hot bitch
great
name.
what's
boy name.
Blair's name from Gossip Girl? What's her last name in Gossip Girl?
I do know it, but it's
Waldorf.
not
Why is
Underwood.
it? Oh, it's Blair Waldorf. Okay, I'm sorry. Blair Underwood sounds like somebody who was in the cast of Gossip Girl. So that's just
It does.
love
Honestly,
that for him.
how dare I have a cousin named Blair? So I
Wow.
can't have a child
She
named
should
Blair.
have given you that name. That's so unfair.
She's a lot older than me, though, so it's fine.
I guess she had it first.
She did. Rude.
You could, maybe you just name her Blair anyway, and then she'll be like, "Oh, that's so nice. What a nice tribute to me." Like my niece or something cousin person, they named her Annika, and when I was little, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so nice." It's like an homage to my name. That's so
It's
weird
like they
did
didn't want to
that.
do it exactly, but
Yeah.
they clearly wanted to reference me and like
I was like,
give me a
"That's
little
pretty
shine.
cool."
It's really sweet.
That's super nice of them. I thought it was awesome. That's not what was happening, but
Another
Close
side
enough.
character I liked, her boss's wife, super hot. Super
so
hot.
Yeah.
Crazy hot.
Wow, crazy hot. Such a beautiful family that is later destroyed. Oh God.
Ruby is so funny. One, love the name Ruby. Two, she's just like asking all these questions. Did you want to be an FBI agent when you grew up? Like, do you want to come to my birthday party? I'm like, she is picking up the whack vibes that Lee is putting like down, and I love it.
What's interesting to me now that I'm looking at IMDb
What?
trivia, because I was like, who played the sexy mom? Her name is Carmel Amit, if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is that someone was cast as adult Ruby, but at what point would an adult Ruby have been shown in this movie?
Is there an after credit scene? I didn't stay.
I don't think I stayed that long.
Oh my God.
Longlegs after credit scene. Forbes says it does not have an end credit scene, but that's not to say that the end credits don't have some kind of meaning. Blah blah blah. Okay, where's adult Ruby Longlegs? Doing a Google.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I'm seeing that. She's also beautiful. Ryla McIntosh, it looks like her name is. I'm sorry if your part got cut, madame.
Madam.
Well, people are talking about this on Reddit, and it sounds like there might be some sort of. Well, people are speculating that possibly there could be an extended edition. But nobody
Yeah, that
knows.
must have been something they left on the cutting room floor. Okay, so how about this? Let's talk about what the sequence of events is here for one of Longlegs' family annihilations to happen.
Okay.
So he obviously selects a family. The devil probably selects the family. I feel like the devil is the one who chooses.
He's picking them out.
He's picking them out. And then Longlegs makes a beautiful dolly version of the little girl. And here's where the question, it gets a little murky for me, okay? Because imagine how this happened. I don't think that the very first killing was going to be Lee, was it? Is that clear from the film?
I don't think it could have been. I feel like it started before hers timeline-wise.
Yeah, I don't remember those details.
But I agree that it's weird because I was trying to pay attention the second time, and he says something to the effect of, I always give them a choice. And so it makes it seem like Lee's mom is the only one who's ever been like, what if you didn't kill my daughter? Which is crazy. Like, obviously, other people would want to explore that avenue. Although maybe they would be like, I don't want to kill anybody else either. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That
like
feels
I'm gonna live
like
my.
weird,
Also,
but yeah,
that's
it
like the
seems
devil's
like
very convincing. That's like kind of his whole thing.
yeah, that is his thing.
Yeah.
Persuasive.
Here's a little hitch though. Imagine the plan as we see it makes a lot of sense to me. These are religious folks. The cute little nun lady. Look at Chelsea. Look how cute she looks in her habit. Walks up to
If
your
I
door and
showed
it's
up
like,
with a doll of your daughter, wouldn't you be honored?
you
No.
The
want
church,
you
the
want
church made
something
it.
Here's
from
the
the
thing. The
church.
church shows up on my door. I'm meeting them with a shotgun. This is the stand your ground state. You're on private
Not
property.
in 1989 Seattle, you're not.
Imagine that you're not yourself and you're a God-fearing woman. Okay, just little
never.
role play. Just a little role play right now. I can imagine though, if what's her name, Ruth comes
Alicia
up and
Witt.
is like, "Here's a doll," you know, and you're like, "Wow, like my daughter would love a doll, and this is a very fancy, beautiful doll." Oh, here's another
This
side
doll's
character I love.
whispering to me also.
The side character that I love the most is the autopsy man who is like,
Mhm.
this is the most incredible doll. He's like gonna cry because of this doll is made so beautifully. He's so moved. And then he's like, it's weird because the orb was whispering my ex-wife's name to me,
Which
but
is
no.
so funny.
It's such a funny little joke, and it's also like maybe it was.
Right?
Maybe
No,
it
it
was.
was.
Now, once we know the deal about those orbs,
It
I think
was.
it was.
It 100% was. Yeah, I wanted him to go kill his wife and wanted him to kill his whole family. But anyway, like if Ruth came and brought me the doll, okay, whatever. We accept the doll. It infiltrates our minds. We kill each other. There's nothing we can do. The Dark Lord has decided it must be so. But the doll has to like enter the vicinity, right? If Longlegs showed up at my door because there was no Ruth before he came to collect Lee Harker. If Longlegs showed up, how many people said no? How many people
Right?
were
You're
like,
not letting
sorry,
that man into
dude,
your house.
you got a freaky fucking vibe, you know? He's got a very freaky vibe. I don't know how many people would even open the door if they saw him, but maybe the doll's got long range efficiency that would make people overlook this like bleached out T-Rex ass man who's doing a lot of strange vocalizations in your front yard.
Okay, I will say though, another big aspect of this is his singing throughout the movie.
Oh, love.
As somebody who the birthday song makes me so upset.
I'm
This
so
You're
sorry.
gonna
movie,
imagine it as this version to make yourself feel better?
no, I hated this. I came like this close from sobbing in the theater when he was singing Happy Birthday.
I can't believe
It's
you
a
didn't think
joyous
this was the
song,
scariest.
Sydney.
I can't believe you didn't think this was the scariest movie of the year because they sang the whole Happy
Because
Birthday
of
Birthday
scary
song
song to
birthday
you.
song.
You'd think that would do it for you. Yeah, no, Sydney will burst into tears. Do
I
not
will
ever sing her happy
immediately
birthday.
start crying. It
I
happened
feel like this
when
is
I was
dangerous
little.
information to give the public.
No, like it's serious though. Like, don't do it. You don't want it. We've talked about Sydney's wrath. Why would you want that thrust
Yeah,
upon yourself?
we've learned some information about a hex that I did years ago that's still going really
Oh, yeah.
hard. So like
Seriously, it's fucking scary. So don't get on her bad side. I'm trying to protect you. Don't sing the happy birthday song to her. My God. Oh my God. So I think honestly, the wheels of the devil's work must have been greased so well once Ruth came into the picture though, because I just really can't imagine it being as effective with Mr. Longlegs as the helm. He's better as a silent puppeteer or
Yeah,
doll maker.
I feel like there's so much we don't know about this MO though, and like exactly how things play out. Maybe if I watched it 3 more times, 4 more times, I'd get it. I don't know. But it's like they seemingly are not discovering these dolls at any of the other crime scenes. They discover the
She's
one at the Camera family farm hidden. So are they all getting like buried somewhere on the property? Like what's happening
yeah.
to these dolls afterwards?
Well, they make it seem like um Ruth has to stay and make sure it plays. They say literally she has to stay and make sure that it plays out in the way that the Dark Lord wanted it to. And so like there is that part where it shows her running back to her car. She's covered in blood and she has the doll. So
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe that's a
But
plot
that
hole though,
wasn't
because
that
I
from
thought
Camera
that
Family
was
Farm?
the Camera Family
Yeah.
Farm. But she has the box with her. Does she not? She brings the box with her to the car.
Well, maybe it was in a different box when it was buried in the farm than its presentation gift box.
Well, here's the thing. I actually don't think that's a plot hole at all, because Longlegs wanted her to get to that, wanted Lee Harker to get to that box. And so I think he just planted it there at some point later on in the future, like after the killing took place. Because I think what
Because he
the
did
order
the
of
X marks the
operation.
spot thing.
Exactly. He put the X's there. It must have been after the investigation was over.
Slightly janky upside down crosses.
Yeah, that was a nice detail.
Just a little askew.
And he wrote all those letters for years, and then he gave her the key. So it was all part of his plan to slowly lure her in. I don't know really what he thought was gonna happen by cluing her in to what was happening with her mother and all of that. I don't know what the master plan was.
Well, if she's like not the final one, I arguably Ruby is the final one, I guess. To complete the triangle.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like things obviously also didn't go according to plan exactly at the Camera Family Farm, because Carrie Ann Camera
Also survived.
survives. And was at school when Ruth showed up, and presumably she's supposed to be like on the premises. So
yeah. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure about that either, but then they kind of had her as like a sleeper agent of the devil waiting in the hospital where she was until Longlegs unlocked her.
right, and talk about absolutely slay little side characters. Like obviously she's slightly more than that for the most part, but Monica and I were talking about this. I love the way that she speaks. I love the way that she's like, and if you ask me to jump off the ceiling, I'd surely do's it. And if you ask me to smash somebody in the head, I'd surely do's it. Or
and
whatever she says.
About like her popping her little heart or something like that. Oh God, it was so unsettling. I opened up the quotes, but I've lost the page now because that whole thing was so good. What an amazing performance. Kiernan's great. Poor thing has had a lot of small parts in big movies this summer. That's all I'll say.
I saw Twisters and this back to back, and I was like, oh, a theme.
I know. Oh yeah.
A little appearance.
Okay, spoilers for the first 25 minutes of Twisters. But like the second that I saw that Kiernan was in Twisters, I was like, this bitch is gonna die in the title sequence because she wasn't in any of the fucking advertising.
Right.
At all. She is gonna die immediately. And I was like, I just saw her die. Well, you don't see her die, but she dies in this movie as well.
Yeah.
Big summer for cameos for Kiernan.
One thing I was saying though is I don't understand why. I understand why young Lee is blonde and adult Lee is brunette. That's a natural order of things. I don't understand why young Carrie Ann is brunette and then Kiernan Shipka Carrie Ann has short blonde hair. Like, who is doing her highlights in the hospital?
That's literally a note that I made in my thing. I'm like,
her highlights?
Who's doing this?
Somebody's
giving
her
bleach and
tone? Gorgeous haircut, but
a bleach and tone. Who's doing it?
Do you think that was like
it?
Was giving Rosemary's Baby that haircut also?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, it sure was.
Oh yeah,
Mia
I could see
Farrow's
that
classic look. So maybe that was just an homage to that.
But then why not just? I was like, why not just switch those two little girl actresses? Why not make the blonde be young Carrie Ann and the brunette be young Lee?
I don't.
It has to show that her hair got darker once she was touched by the devil.
And what was the other thing you said, Chelsea? Like something like the doll's eyes were bright blue and Carrie Ann's eyes aren't blue. So like why they're supposed to?
I don't remember saying that. I think maybe you said that.
Oh, maybe I said that. Anyway, it was in our conversation. I said that.
Anyway,
Good job,
somebody
Monica.
said it.
You noticed the eye color of something. Also a weird difference that I don't understand why. I mean, okay, I guess there is a good amount of like gore in this. Like that whole not reenactment, like, but recap. I told you my aphasia would be bad. When they went back and looked at the time when they went to the Cameron family ranch and then everyone was killing each other, that part was very graphic. That got you some good gore too, and that was super disturbing to see it all from the perspective of the doll. I loved that. It took me a second to realize, like, I was like, why is the pastor looking at me? Not that it's me, but like it's looking right at he's looking right at the camera. Everyone's coming right at the camera. And I'm like, oh my God, it's devil vision. Like Snake-O vision. It's devil vision. You're seeing what his little devil doll saw, which is cool.
I am gonna I was just looking at the quotes also, and I was remembering when he did the scary singing at Mom in the early on, or when we get a flashback or something of that. I think your point about like how much less successful was it when he was doing it on his own, sure, but also once again, your other point, the devil's very persuasive, so I guess it doesn't matter that he's a little freak. Because what he
the
sings
devil had to
her
use
is
extra riz to compensate for
Mhm.
all that.
The devil's like, what if we made this just a little bit easier? Because I have a lot of fires going right now. I've got a lot of fans going in the kitchen.
He's got a lot of
If we
plans.
could just streamline this process a little bit. But yeah, what he sings to her there is let me in now. Should I say it? Let me in now and it can be my I think it's so scary the way he does that. But the words are make me go now and I'll have to come back not once, not twice, but as many times as I like. So presumably if a family is saying no and sending him away, he's just coming back again at some other time.
Yeah. Oh, it's so unsettling. And it is a little irksome now doing the podcast on it, being like, what was the point of all of this? What was going on? Like, what was the end game once the triangle was completed? And we never will find out. And it's not the point. And I guess that's fine. Was if he did that last killing, would it have been total world domination? The devil has taken over Middle America.
There is an article that I read on a site called The Direct that's like Longlegs director reveals truth about movies ending. And it basically is saying like it's not a world domination thing. That is not what the devil is going for. It's like very small scale. And it's again just kind of that thing like he's got a lot of different projects going on. He's a fancy bitch, like you've seen him in Powerpuff Girls. Like he just has flair and aesthetic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like he's just trying to fuck shit up, but he's getting a little fancy with it when he's like, oh, I'll do triangle and I'll do birthdays. Or maybe that was Longlegs bringing some of his own pizzazz into this plan. But it's not so much about world domination so much as corrupting individual people, ruining the lives, stealing the souls of individual people. So it's very like individual focus like that, which makes sense also because like the whole thing with devil stuff in media, going back to some of like the original devil stories, is like selling your soul to the devil. One soul, very valuable to the devil. Clearly there's a lot he's willing to give you in order to get one single soul.
No, that's true.
And also like he gets the soul of this one little girl, but it comes with the whole family, you know what I mean? So
yeah, he's just trying to like, there's some line that explained it a little bit, but I'm having trouble recalling it now. It's just like Nicolas Cage is like explaining why, and it's like, I don't know. I can't remember what it is, but some sort of like devil cleansing sort of thing. So he can like spread his little fingers of influence, blah, blah, blah.
I'm looking at the quotes on IMDb trivia, and it's got like that whole conversation between him and Lee in the interrogation room. And so it might be in there what you're looking for, but he says a lot of stuff in there, including the part about the choice. The seventh sheet to be given the same choice they've all been given, crimson or clover. And by the way, crimson or clover, that song's been in a zillion horror movies. What's up with that?
It's a
But
devil thing. Where's it
Yeah.
from? I'll look it up.
okay. But he says, accept the gift and destroy yourself and yourselves, or keep it and bow down, bow all the way down, and get right down to the dirty, dirty work that gets dirty as it cleans, like a mop, like a rag. It says right here on the orders from the man downstairs. So it's like they're like cleaning the earth of people, but it's getting souls dirty. I don't know.
Unclear. It's not
Unclear.
about that. It's about the vibes.
Yeah. We're not getting deep here. We're just about the vibe.
About the vibes. And the vibe is T-Rex. In case you forgot.
Also,
Don't forget.
One of my things that I did like with like Lee and Longlegs, who we do get a name briefly. Isn't his name like Dale or something like that? Or
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. But when he's
Kincaid or something. Dale Ferdinand Cobble.
yeah.
Cobble. That's what it is. They refer
but
to him as Cobble a lot.
when we watched the movie and he's in the interrogation thing and they're like, well, where is he? And they're like, he's right under your feet right now.
Yes.
And it's like the
He's
devil
been there this whole time.
But it's like, the devil down below under your feet at all time.
Mhm.
He's living in like
in the basement.
in the basement down below. Like he's right below
Under
their
your
The
feet
man
this whole
downstairs.
time.
They
Mhm.
found the doll like under a place with, like you would walk, so like under something. I thought that was really cool.
Underfoot. Yeah.
Mhm. He's
Also
always
another
right there.
I don't know if this is the line that you were thinking about, and I don't know the placement of this quote in the movie, but Longlegs says at one point, you could have played nice with me, but you didn't, and that is the reason for all of this. So maybe maybe it's like with Lee, where he approaches the little girl individually first if he can, and then if he gets like interrupted, it becomes a whole. I don't know. Again, I would love to know more details. This movie is very Lee centered, which is great and very interesting and a good compelling way to tell the story, but also I'm so curious about the larger
the larger lore.
and that's really, I mean, it's like we're saying, it's not Silence of the Lambs. Like that's not its focus. So you're just not going to get that from this movie.
No, totally. I mean, I think the perspective that we get is so compelling because imagine thinking that like you come from a weird background, a very lonely childhood. Like the story the mom says, like there's a story about a girl and her
And no one
mother, and they
ever
live in a
came.
place where no one
Mhm.
ever visits, and she's very ostracized out there, and then she decides to do a career where she's helping people. She has some sort of call to do that, or say what you will about the FBI, but that's I think where it's coming from for her. And then she's finally like doing something. She's finally on a case where she's making headway, and all of it leads back to her, and all of it leads back to her mother, the only person in her life, so it seems, because she doesn't interact with
Yeah.
anyone else the entire movie from her personal life. Just her
That was
coworkers
also a
and the
question
people she
I
needs
had
to
about
interview.
her background is her family seems to not fit the pattern also because it's just her and her mom. Like it seems very central to the other families that the dad is the one who is doing the slaying before he kills himself. I don't know if that's just because they've decided that dads are often the most
Violent.
physically large and intimidating and sometimes violent in the family, and so like that's just where it jumps to automatically
It's a
if there
good
is a dad, and maybe
cover.
there doesn't need to be a dad. But I thought it was so interesting that he approaches her family and that's like not even part of it. So
Well, she did have the right birthday, so
she had the right
Yeah.
birthday, and like how far
Birthday
is he really gonna
supersedes.
travel,
Exactly.
So
he's very limited to the space.
Oh
And
God.
clearly he didn't have a home base yet, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm living out of my car. I don't want to go to the next state over. I'm not going to drive to Oregon. Like, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
I
I
love the
also
car
like
that he
this.
drives in this movie, though.
Oh my God, so good.
It's such a
His little
sleigh.
bottle opener hanging down.
Yeah, love him.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I don't want to skip around too much, but I did just like the comparison of like the moment when Lee realizes that it's her mom that is the accomplice. Obviously, she knows that there's already a grand connection to her family here, but like that realization mirroring the moment when her partner had gotten shot point blank in the head earlier in the movie, like that jarring shot, and that's how she figures it out. Oh, is so unsettling. And then I also just really liked the visual of after the mom um shoots the doll in the head and that like
The
devil
smoke.
dissipating.
smoke comes out of her head. I just thought that was really really stunning and really interesting. Um and
Also,
I
just
also brought up
oh, I was gonna say, imagine being Lee and you just hear this gunshot and you run around and then there's your mom holding a gun to like a
Shoot a
small
miniature
you.
version of you. Yeah.
And
A
it's like,
Barbie
and you
life
know
size.
that this miniature like doll is used for like other big murders. Like, could you imagine what
And you're like, why do
she's
I feel so weird all of a
going through right
sudden?
now?
no,
Yeah.
seriously.
No wonder she immediately
Had to
passes
talk
out.
about a bad day.
Right.
She
Well,
would have
I
done
mean
that
like the
even if her
whole
brain didn't just get exploded.
yeah. Oh my God. Well, it brings up a lot of questions for me though, because I don't know what it means that like the doll didn't actually get shot at the end. So like the
Oh,
Ruby's
the Ruby
doll,
doll? Mm-hmm.
yeah, like she leaves the Ruby doll there. So it leaves a lot of things open ended.
And maybe that's where like a continuing storyline with adult Ruby would come in and be a focus because there's a lot of questions still about like the state of Ruby. Um, but I don't know. I did get this sense early on ish that she had a was under some sort of sway from Longlegs even before we got that like direct confirmation because of the like especially when I think it's when she sees the doll for the first time or when she sees the brain for the first time maybe um the like red snake imagery that pops up that stuff
Uh-huh.
um
Yeah.
I obviously snake devil blah 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 that's a thing um but also his like singing thing was very like snake charmer adjacent and like there are these very intense churches in America. I don't know about how much in the Pacific Northwest as opposed to the South, but where they like have snakes and like snakes are part of the church and
Oh yeah,
um
they talk in tongues, and I know a
mhm.
church around here that does that.
Yeah, and I mean I read about
Ooh.
it in a book a long time ago, which was H.A. Jacobs' The Year of Living Religiously or The Year of Living Biblically. Super interesting. Love all of his stuff. Very interesting. But that is like a whole thing. And so like the visuals really came together on that for me early on, but I did not think it was going to be so like literal. I thought it was going
Mhm.
to be like that initial meeting when they were younger just like had some sort of lasting impression rather than like oh no I made a little doll of you and it has a little brain in it and that little brain is connected to your brain and there will be literally smoke dissipating from your head when that brain gets destroyed. But it
Mm.
is interesting that as soon as Longlegs is taking care of the mom is like and now I'm gonna fucking murder this doll. I will continue to do more murders after this. I am going to finish the job with Ruby and her family, but I will destroy the doll of my daughter first chance I get.
Yeah. Which is, sweet
She
that
said,
she's
"Not
still
my
looking
daughter,
out
you
for her girl.
bitch."
All
Well, that was
for
the
my
thing
girl.
that Osgood Perkins was talking about the ending too is like obviously so much of this movie is about the mom daughter relationship. What will you do for your family and what will you do for public good and like what sacrifices can you personally make and live with blah 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 And so that's part of why on the small scale, he was like, and this is like the worst thing that could happen to Lee at the end is that like the final big bad is her mom, not Longlegs. But also that the mom, while she obviously is doing this heinous thing, she also in many ways is the ideal mother because she will do literally
Anything for her daughter.
anything to protect her child.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
if my
it's so
mommy didn't do
sad.
that for me, I'd be like, Mom, what the fuck? You wished me dead?
I feel
My
like
mom
my
would have
mom
done
has
that for
seriously
me.
told me that she would help me hide a body, and I was like, no, dear, thank you. That's my
Yeah, mommy
mommy.
would have done it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt, no question.
Whose blood? Who got their blood all over your hands? Oh my
I
God.
feel like Sydney's mom specifically would be like, and we're raising pigs on the farm now, and the pigs are gonna eat the body.
Me and my mom talked about starting a pig farm this weekend, actually. So
Oh my
For body
god, how
disposal?
timely.
never.
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 Of course not. No. Oh my
Don't be
god.
silly,
You're
Chelsea.
so silly to suggest
I
that.
don't
Not
eat
on the
pigs. I love
record,
them.
baby.
You're
Come
such a funny
on.
girl. It's just a little joke.
Never.
I do just want to give a shout out to the interrogation scene with Nicolas Cage because it was just a nonstop horror show. And I'm just so obsessed with him. There's this great quote from Osgood where he was like, I think a lot of people, this is a paraphrase, but he was basically saying that people think that Nicolas Cage just like lets it all fucking loose and goes crazy when he does these crazy roles because he has such like a huge larger than life performance when he has these big character roles. But he was like, the thing is that people don't realize it comes from like this very controlled place that gets him there. And I thought that was
Oh.
terrifying. I thought that was a terrifying quote, but also I was like, yeah, my baby is an incredible actor. Oh my God.
There's also something, oh wait, actually. Oh yes,
Oh,
here
yeah.
he is.
Our
Here he
boy.
is.
And he's looking freakishly
Beautiful.
white, too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Our
I don't
boy.
remember where I read this. But I read or heard somewhere that not Longlegs, Nicolas Cage has this like crazy ability to know his limits with the range of his voice, his volume when he's filming a movie. Like he's really good at when he's going loud, hitting like just the top of the level so that it's not like peaking, and when he's going quiet, like going just quiet enough that it's still being picked up. Like he really, it's like the sound engineers like watching the levels being like, he's the king at this, like, oh my god.
My guy.
And also IMDb trivia, so maybe that was where I read it also, I don't know. But IMDb trivia also said that that interrogation scene was like the last scene that he filmed for this movie, and it was the first time Maika Monroe had seen him on set and in character, so she didn't know like what to expect or what he looked like or what his performance was that he was doing for this role until she walked into that room, and she was wearing some sort of like lavalier mic or whatever to like pick up her dialogue, but it also picked up her heartbeat. And her heartbeat like went from like a regular resting heart rate to like it jumped from 76 beats per minute to 170 beats per minute by
Isn't
the
that
end
fucked?
of filming that scene, and they ended up like using the sound of her heartbeat picked up by the microphone in one of the promotional trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I never saw that one, so I'm so mad. But I was reading about it today, and I was like, "Oh God, well, no wonder." People thought it was gonna be the scariest movie of the year. She literally flipped out. I mean, that scene is horrifying, and that I loved the gore in that too. His fucking like nose coming off. He went from this to this. That was kind of the vibe of what was happening. A little bit of this as well. Just as a
Yeah.
visual aid.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe a little some of this over here as well too. And it's so fucked
It's
up.
like
Literally,
I'm watching the movie again, Monica. Oh my
I
God.
know, and I got the horns. Oh my God, whoa. I'm wearing her suit in the beginning scene. Wow, it's really crazy. I have the
Wow.
exact same earrings that she wears in the movie just by coincidence. But anyway,
It's a
that shit was fucked
coincidence.
up. It's a coincidence. it was just a great performance, and it was just so horrifying, and it's just really sticks to the point where he's like, I don't need to be alive anymore. I've done my work and I'm good with my God, which is the devil. And so I'm gonna go hang with him now later.
I'm ready to dip. Bye,
Yeah,
Hail
he's like, my
Satan.
work here is done. I'll put
Yeah.
him back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, it's also interesting because Nic Cage kind of similarly was like, and my work here is done, because he had that quote that was a couple different places that was like, I know the phone's gonna be ringing off the hook to play more serial killers after this movie, but I'm one and done. And it's like,
Wow.
first of all, what do you mean you've never played a serial killer before? Maybe that's semantics, but you've definitely played Dracula that I know about on this podcast, and I would argue
But
he is a serial killer. But that's a vampire, so like, yes, maybe not.
It's
Vampires
different.
are
Again,
different.
That's
semantics.
different, Chelsea. It's different.
But like, I don't know. I was very shocked to see that he'd never played one before, and I thought it was very interesting that he was like, and I know all the bitches are gonna want me to do it again after this, but I won't. This is the only one.
Well, he knows himself well. He's amazing. And this just brings me back to how we need to do Mandy on this podcast. Talk about a horror movie that is fucking incredible. He is so good in that. And then one day we'll do the remake of The Wicker Man. So we can do. Couldn't be a more different portrayal of that film. Wow. I guess, are we at like the grand finale of this movie? We've been not going through it sequentially, but what do we think?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that it was like the most horrific, but also smart and pretty obvious if you're, keeping track of the word birthday being said in the film. For it to come home and hit her everywhere. It's hit her at her home, and then it's hit her in like the only other people who like care about her like at all, even remotely, is like her boss, who like kind of looks out for her a little bit, at
And
least
that other
throughout.
woman who drove her
Yeah.
home after the interrogation,
Yes.
like her too. She was like, I was not going to let you drive after what you just saw.
Yep.
Like, her boss was
That
mad
was
at her in
so-
that scene, but that woman was like, and I'm not going to let you
Really
be alone. And she
compassionate.
immediately got for it.
Yeah. Ugh, that was so sad. I love that woman. She just has such a beautiful face. She's stunning. But anyway, the finale here, where she has to really confront the fact that like her mom is doing this again right now. Like her mom is
Mhm.
literally there at her boss's house, is gonna kill this kid that she had this weird connection with. Like, and it's just so interesting to see her like still do the hero thing that she needs to do, but like how long it takes her to get there, because she's just so horrified and shell shocked, and like just had the devil blown out of her head, you know what I mean? So she's got a lot going on. But I just loved the dialogue and everything in this scene. It was so scary. Like when they're like, oh, we should go cut the cakes, and the wife is like, do we have to? And he's like super manic, and he's like, of course we have to cut the cakes. It was your idea to get the cakes, and blah, 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 blah. And then like, she's like, oh, like,
We'll be back from the kitchen in a second. And yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, he's like, no, honey, I'll be back in a second. You'll be in the kitchen still. Like all of that was just so well written and so, ooh, so creepy, really unsettling stuff.
And it's really creepy how like she can't really do anything about it, or like she doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, because she's just like reeling, and I get that, but like you're hearing him stab the shit out of his wife, right? In the
And you're
other
not doing
room, and you're
anything.
like do something, but like, uh, you know, the devil's work has already begun. So, and I also just think that the way they play, all these actors played it, where it's like they're fully under the devil's control, the doll's control, whatever you want to call it, but they have these like little moments of fighting it, where like when she does that little like yelp or whatever, because she knows she's gonna be stabbed to death when she goes into the kitchen. And like I just thought that the way they all performed this scene was really effective. It was so scary. I really never want to have the devil come into my house if I can avoid it.
seems not good.
Seems
Which
bad.
is
I wasn't
crazy
sure
because you would
before.
think it would be good, but it was not when I saw it in this film.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was so that I really learned a lot about the devil and how he works in mysterious ways, and as well as the Lord. I think that's actually the Lord who works in mysterious ways, but I would say the devil also
But
works in
probably
mysterious
also,
ways, as
I think
evidenced by this
they're
film.
kind of parallels, you know. So I
Yeah.
think you can if one does,
Two
then the other.
Mysterious characters, you know.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine if the Lord works in mysterious ways that the devil is like so obvious.
Straightforward.
Yeah, like I just can't
Hello.
imagine that that's the case.
That's the one thing I love about the devil. He is such a straight shooter. So
One thing about the
hopeful.
devil.
He's gonna tell it to you straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not
No.
gonna play any tricks on
not
you.
tricky at
He's
all.
gonna ask you if you would like to if you would like to taste
Wouldst thou like the taste?
the
of
taste of
butter?
butter. Salted butter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the thing that is also when we're talking about why is she doing anything at the end, it's also just because, like, in the same way that she does not want to shoot her mom, she does not want to shoot her boss. Like, she keeps trying to be like, snap out of it, basically, but that is just not gonna work. And I think when it's like out of sight, obviously she kind of knows what's happening in the kitchen, but if she's not directly having to confront it, it's like almost already too late, and she is still in this moment of shock. But when he's like coming towards Ruby, you know, that's both like a surrogate for her in many ways, and
Yeah.
also a much more vulnerable person, and also gonna be happening right in front of her, so it forces her to act.
Yeah, it forces her to snap out of it. Ugh, so many fucking headshots in this movie. They love to shoot
She's a
someone
good shot.
point blank in the head. That is a trend here. And we brought this up already, but what does it mean that the doll is still in play? Like that she leaves it there is just so
Well, that
like
the
it's gonna
gun
have that
doesn't work, so she can't shoot it.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, what the fuck? How many bullets do you have in there? 2? What is this? I guess she shot the dad.
Yeah, she shot him a
couple
lot.
times.
Yeah. Fair. I don't know. I loved the ending. I did love the ending, and I really loved that it went from like those horrific images to "You're dirty sweet and you're my girl."
And then the credits
T-Rex
start
once
rolling
again.
from the bottom.
Arguably, he's got them both, you know? Ruby's doll is still alive, Lee's doll is dead, but now her heart's been corrupted, you know? She had to shoot mommy, so.
Yeah. Oy, oy, oy. It do be bleak, but I did
is
love it.
bleak for sure.
All right, well, let's get happy. How could this movie be gayer? It has a canonically queer person in it, which is the guy who owns or who is in charge of the place where Carrie Ann is staying, the hospital. That's a gay man. That's a gay
Carrie
man.
Ann herself, you see that haircut? That's giving queer. I think she's specifically requesting it.
I'm also
say
getting
that.
a queer vibe. Stop. Stop. Shut up. Don't bring up Ellen DeGeneres. I don't want to talk about Ellen DeGeneres. I think Lee definitely is giving some queer energy as
She's
well.
giving soft butch.
She's giving asexual to me, but I don't know if that's also just because she's like not connecting with other people much. And so it's like but I think you could make that argument. And I also think that argument could be connected to her being stunted at the age of 9. You know what I mean? Like, obviously her body grew up, but if some part of her is like stuck in stasis, you know, she's not going through sexual maturity, even if she's going through sexual maturity. But
the giant poster,
she's a stone butch.
The giant poster of Bill Clinton all throughout the movie, that's gay. The gays love that. That's gay.
There was also a picture of Richard Nixon in the flashback to Carrie Ann's house. So I was like, there's
Also
just
camp.
a lot of presidential coverage in this film.
Well, they were like, just so you know, this is happening in the 90s, and we're gonna make
Right.
sure
And
that
now
that's
it's not the 90s,
90s
anymore. I
anymore.
want to make that clear.
It's so good. Also, okay, on a more serious note, though, back to that thing I was bringing up about the article from them being like, is this movie queer phobic? And the article is like, no. It got into like the nuance of like Osgood Perkins being the director of this film just in general. Because as we know, his father is the star of Psycho. Oh my God, it's Anthony Perkins, right? I can't remember
Yes,
what his
Yeah,
first
yes,
name is
yeah.
right now. Okay, cool. I
Tony
was like, if I-
Perkins, if you're besties with him.
Tony, my guy Tony. But yeah,
My
I mean,
guy's awesome, Tony.
we mentioned in the Psycho episode that Anthony Perkins was a queer man. But what I didn't know was that he was closeted his entire life, and he died at 60 when Osgood was just 18 years old. He died of complications from AIDS. Um, and I had no idea about that at all. It's a big gap in my knowledge of this, but because of that, there was this like secret in their family that was never disclosed to the children. And like they were living with this secret in the house, which was their father's sexuality. His mother helped
Yeah, because
protect.
they were married, I think, right?
Yeah,
And I
Mhm.
feel
they
like I
were
read the
married.
Wikipedia page recently where it was like he told her that he was gay and she was still like, well, let's get married. And they like were married and had a family and had like a loving marriage, if not a sexual marriage necessary. Well, it's not my business what they did, but
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So I mean, there was an interesting quote that I'm going to try to find in my myriad of copy pastes that I did here. Um but basically, okay, hold on, let me try to find it really quickly because I looked up Anthony Perkins and it didn't come up in my notes that I know that it's in
look
here.
up
So
Tony
hold on.
Perkins. You were probably very intimate
Yeah,
close with him when you were writing this down.
Yeah, of
I
course.
copied and pasted this from the article. um
Just look up
okay.
Perkins.
I got Perkins came up 4,000 times. So that's
Mm.
why that one didn't work. No, I remembered another word from the quote. But this like the article from them was saying like, okay, yeah, I guess there's like you could be saying like, oh, there's like a secret in the house, and the secret in his house that was that his dad was queer in some way, and like, oh no, that's bad that it was the secret and blah 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 blah. But like that's not what Osgood is saying at all. You know, he is grappling with the fact that there was a secret in his household, and any secret can be insidious, even if what it is isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like the fact that information is being withheld that is so important to the identity of his father, and he never got to know him in that way. You know, that can be insidious in itself. He's not saying that gay people are bad or anything like that.
But he didn't have the chance to understand his father fully.
Mhm.
Exactly. And so this is the quote that I had from Oz that I liked. Everything that I try to do, I try to make it about myself from the beginning. What's the simplest truth that I can use as kind of a North Star? In my case, I grew up in a household with a very famous, visible father who was living two lives at least and was closeted homosexual or bisexual man. So it's just really interesting that, like, as an artist, he is centering like his experience and everything so it can be as authentic as possible. I mean, if something comes from a place that you've really lived, I feel like it feels more believable for the audience because you know you're not just making things up. You've experienced something similar, and just in the most vaguest terms, this is similar to the story, but that is what this story like boils down to. It's like Lee growing up, and there's this huge secret in her house that she had no idea, and it's mapped onto her entire life, and she then has controlled her entire life, and she had no idea. And the movie is her coming to this revelation. So I thought that was really interesting, made it a richer experience for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because there's the man living in her basement that she doesn't know about. And there's also like her mom says I worked as a nurse for 15 months or whatever it is, but presumably she left her job when she became Longlegs' accomplice, and we know there's not somebody else in the house with a dual income or whatever, like, so there's clearly a lot that is, she knows to some degree that there are things that she doesn't understand. And she
Mhm.
knows also that in many ways she's like taking care of her mom, and she doesn't understand or appreciate until the end that her mom was also in many ways taking care of her.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, I read
Uh,
that Oz really was inspired by John Benet Ramsey, which that's gay.
Fair. I have to also
You
say
know what?
that
Okay.
Yep, like that's gay.
Longlegs is pansexual also.
Yes, I think that's right.
That feels right.
I think he's a
Yeah.
big slut for sure. Not
Uh-huh.
to say that pansexual people are sluts, but I think he specifically is a big slut.
Wow, I can't believe that you would read into that narrative
Wow.
and that you would
Wow,
perpetuate that
Chelsea.
narrative,
Oh my
Chelsea.
God.
Wow, Chelsea
I
canceled.
apologize.
Wow.
I apologize to the pansexual community. That's not what that's
Thank
not what's in my
you.
heart. You guys know me.
Any more gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
Okay.
Alicia went lesbian. That's why there was no dad.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she had that weird fucking haircut when like Lee's a child, that was so fucking
That's gay.
lesbian.
That was
That's gay
gay.
as fuck. It's so gay. And then the fact that she grew into like just like a lesbian hippie as she was older
And
with
her
long, straight
hesitation
hair.
shooting Agent Browning, the woman in the car, that was because she was like, we could have had a beautiful life together.
Yeah, because that was so beautiful, as we were saying. So
Her not throwing anything away also seems really
Somehow
queer-coded to
gay.
me.
Yeah.
what is the
Saying all
crossover
gay people are
between
hoarders.
queer people
As
and
somebody who
hoarders?
has a really hard time throwing things away, yeah, actually.
Look, are you
As a
speaking
queer hoarder
to-
myself,
Yeah, as a
uh,
hoarder myself, I feel like I can spot the signs.
Yeah.
Okay,
The stereotypes
okay.
are correct right now, at least so far. We haven't been proven wrong on this podcast. I've got a lot of empty shampoo
Fucking
bottles under my
Christ.
sink.
Oh my god. Okay. So now Matthew Lillard.
Now Matthew Lillard, yeah.
Now Matthew Lillard. Where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie? I think he would have been a wonderful coroner who hears his ex-wife's name being called from the orb of Satan.
Yeah.
I also would have liked him as the like psych ward guy.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yes.
a great idea. We should think about that for next time.
That would be great. And to our listener, Smiles, right? Who's like, you always subjugate him to nowhere, nothing parts of the movie. We talked about earlier how these parts sparkled and shined in the film and made it the beautiful tapestry that it is. Okay, so Matthew would only add more.
Also, I think he would have been okay. Back to small parts. Remember when there's that random priest in the house that just immediately gets murdered?
at the
I
Cameron
think that
family
would
farm.
be that you only see once. I think that would be really funny for Matthew Lillard.
He just
That
pops
would
up in a
be-
priest collar.
And then he gets whacked.
I
Or,
also think if
like,
we're giving
give
him a
him-
more substantial role, not that I want to get rid of very beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous Carmela Mead, but imagine if we're getting family diversity. We had single mother family. We could also have two gay dads family. He's closeted. He's in the FBI. He doesn't. That's why Lee is special. He's like, come into my home, Lee. I'll let you meet my husband.
Wow.
Nobody else knows about because we can't get legally
My
married.
husband,
It's the 90s.
Matthew Lillard.
My husband, Matthew Lillard. We're
They'd make a
throwing
really
a
hot
birthday
couple,
party
too.
for our daughter this weekend. Will you come?
Wow.
Wow, I
love
love
it.
that.
I love
that.
it. It got gayer
Perfect.
and it got Matthew. Perfect. Done. Done. Okay. I think this might be a hard one. Dumb bitch. Who would be the dumb bitch?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I do have questions about the seeming reality that Longlegs gives every parent a choice or every mother a choice, and the rest of these mothers are just like, well, what are you gonna do? But I hesitate to call them dumb bitches for not becoming serial killer accomplices. You know, that doesn't seem like a good solution. So
I'm not calling
Yeah.
Lee a dumb bitch, but she has one moment where after like she sees the figure out in the woods and then decides to run out into the woods. I was like, girl, why would you do that?
like recognizes like, Sydney.
Still, don't run out
No,
into the
I
woods in the
agree.
middle of the night. That's
I agree
dumb.
with you. I thought the same thing, but for a different reason. When she ran out, she left her fucking door open
Wide
to the
open.
fucking house. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, Longlegs is gonna go in there. I'll tell you
Mhm.
that. I'll tell you that right
Mhm.
now.
And he sure does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you could, I think, make a genuine argument for the guy who works at the hospital, because they have a lot of policies that he's like, that really should already be in place. You're
Be
right. I
smart.
didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
That
So he's
feels
kind of
like
a
a
dumb
good one.
bitch.
Especially in the
Um,
90s. You think they would have had some policy
mhm.
things. Also, the devil.
But is he a dumb bitch? Because he's like very creative and he's like a hard
And he
worker.
shows up all
and
spooky
he's
and
like
cuntily throughout the film.
Yeah, but he is just like murdering people, you know?
That's
Yeah, but
not
that's like
dumb.
his thing.
That's his
So he's
favorite thing to
passionate.
do.
Let people have
I love that
hobbies.
he is so
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
passionate.
yes, Sydney.
Let him have a hobby.
Sydney
Men don't
cancels.
deserve hobbies.
None of us are surviving this episode. But
Men don't deserve hobbies.
we don't know for sure. That I guess he was an angel and he was a male angel. As far as do angels have genders? I think there can be an argument that the devil is genderless.
Angels are a bunch of eyeballs or whatever the fuck the
Those
biblically
are the
biblically
levels of
accurate
there's
angels.
levels of angels.
What was Lucifer?
Okay.
I don't think he was the
Wasn't
eyeball
he like
one.
an archangel?
Yeah, he was like a man-shaped angel.
Like a handsome man angel?
Yeah, I think it was like very noted that
He was a
very
handsome man
hot.
angel. I love that for him. Yeah, no, I do remember him being hot.
Yeah, of course he's hot.
Yeah,
of course
yeah,
the
yeah.
devil's
He
hot.
has to be. He has to be.
He has to be hot. He's got to
Nobody's
have
gonna
that,
follow
like,
an ugly man into sin. I'm just saying.
I
it's
saw
part of the allure.
Elizabeth
That's why
Hurley
vampires are
Bewitched.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it could be a lady devil as well. The devil is beyond gender, and I love that about her or them. And at the end of the day, the devil's not the dumb bitch. They can't be the dumb bitch. I think safest bet is
The
hot
hospital guy.
twink who runs the hospital. Yeah.
Yes.
In his cunty pink suit or whatever it was. Salmon. His salmon
And
suit.
his little mustache.
So cute. We love him. We can all be a little bit of a dumb bitch sometimes, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
But
y'all
he
listen
should
to us
shore
all
up
the time.
Security. Yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
You know.
It's not an
Three
insult. It's just
beautiful
unfortunately
idiots.
a statement
It's
of
just
fact
the
sometimes.
fact.
Yeah. It's just the facts, Jack. I've been making that references a lot lately. Anyway, moving on. It's time for our knives out of fives.
Knives out of
Knives out of
five.
fives. Okay, so this movie, I mean, it made $1 bajillion. It had like a $10 million budget for the movie itself, and it earned that back opening weekend alone. And I
Wow,
think it's
great.
become I think it is this. I know it's a neon movie. Is it also A24? Because I thought I
No.
saw that it became no, but I feel like I saw
Neon and
it's-
A24 are like major competitors.
Yeah, well, I saw it being compared to how much or how much money Hereditary made, and I guess they're just using that as like a marker of successful horror movies.
Yeah.
Maybe whoever made that comparison.
I think so.
But it made more money than Hereditary.
Wow.
So there's that. But
That makes sense to me. Hereditary is fucked up on a whole. Talk about the scariest movie of the year. Hereditary was the scariest movie of that year.
Yes.
But on IMDb, Longlegs has 7.1 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 86% fresh from critics and 60% fresh from audiences. So it's kind of still hovering right around that same range. It's too fresh of a movie, and I don't really think it did the like festival circuit at all, so there aren't any like awards potentially at this point to speak of. Maybe in the future there will be,
Mhm.
but so far seems like very successful box office wise. Generally well received by critics and audiences alike, but we've already talked about in the beginning of this episode there is a sort of disparity between regular horror goers and the general movie going audience. But like with Monica, I wonder how much of that is just like a first look versus like a larger final opinion. Not final opinion. I mean, you could
Yeah.
see this 5 more times and your opinion might continue to change. But I'll let you guys say for yourself where you land, because I don't want to go first.
I can go first. I think I'm gonna give this one a 4.5, honestly. I really, really liked it a lot more on a second watch. And once I released my expectations and became completely zen, reached nirvana, then I watched it again. Yeah,
Wow.
no, it was crazy.
Oh my
And then
God,
that
you've been
went
through a
away.
lot.
Yeah, and then I cut off my pinky right after and lost all of that. That's gone now. All of the pieces gone. No. But I really was like just taking it for what it was and like just really like living in the ambiance of the movie, and I think that it really like creates a world and it creates a feeling that you live in for that however long hour and 40 minutes. And I don't know. I think that Oz is a really, really interesting director, and this fits right into all the types of movies that I do actually really fuck with a lot. So I love the slow burn. I love the strange acting. I love the like little snippets of comedy that we get in there. I'm blown away by Nicolas Cage's performance, and I think that the way that they unveiled his look and his face was very well done. And I am fucking obsessed with the fact that the vibe of the movie is T-Rex from the words of the man who created. He said the vibe is T-Rex, and I just love it. Like I was dancing on my way out of the theater. So I don't know. I think this was a really, really good movie, and it just took a little longer to get there. But that's kind of the theme of my summer with new movies, because we heard how I felt about Maxine too. So maybe I just need to watch everything twice now.
When I first walked out of the theater, I was like kind of bummed. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like in the parking lot with Taylor, and I was like, this is definitely like a 3 out of 5. And then when I watched it again, I will give it a 3.5 out of 5 because I did
Okay.
like it more the second time. Although, as I said earlier, I still can't find. I saw one of the 15 devils in the background, and I'm
I'm
mad.
gonna find that video. I can't
Like-
believe I was like, I got it, and I was
got all
off
6.
by 10.
But it's like, am I gonna have to watch this movie 14 more times to see? Like, do I get one?
To fully appreciate. Yeah.
We're gonna find the video for you. Don't
Like,
worry.
We'll link it. We'll link it.
The music in this is so well done, and I like saw something where they play subliminal messaging backwards in this. So like some of the movies you hear is like words played backwards.
Oh, interesting. Because that was the
Ooh.
big thing about like not glam rock, but like metal more really. And
Well,
there's
the-
some
you know,
overlap there with like
Everybody thought
glam
the
metal and
White
stuff like that.
Album from the
Yeah.
Beatles, you play backward, it like says
Play
the Satan
backwards.
things,
Yeah.
like all this kind of
And
stuff.
like
Shelter
they
Skelter
dragged
vibes.
metal singers like before Congress to be like, did you put devil messages
Music
in
in
your
this.
music? Yeah. So
But so I loved that they actually did in fact put like they turned the music into subliminal messaging. I thought that was like really fun. This is my
Ooh,
first
that's so
Osgood
cool.
Perkins movie, but I am like actually
Intrigued.
really excited to see more of it because I think he's a really beautiful director. Even though
Yeah.
I do like I love a good supernatural stuff, but like I do kind of wish it was just like a really fucked up dude. Sometimes like a really fucked
Yeah.
up dude is actually like way more scarier
interesting.
and
Yeah.
more
Oh, the
interesting.
Oh, the devil made someone do something evil. Classic devil.
Right? It seems a little lazy to just say, "Oh, the devil did it," and be like, "Well, Or what if it's just a man?
But what if this man, Longlegs, was hoping to gain something from and it was like the classic, like, Faustian deal? Like, maybe he was hoping to be the most glam rock doll maker of all time, which clearly he succeeded in becoming.
Clearly.
Maybe he was like,
Love.
I want my cosmetic surgeries all paid for. And the devil was like, okay, just give me 14 little girls. So
Nobody could be more
I
glam
mean,
rock than
he
me.
could still be a fucked up guy and have made a deal with the devil, you
He
know.
could.
Yeah.
We just
It's all
don't know enough
possible.
to say.
All right, what do you think, Chelsea? What's your score?
I do feel like I'm right around where Sydney is for now. Like I said, I think this movie had a lot of rewatchability, not necessarily in that I want to watch it 5 more times, but I think that you would discover more intricate details in the movie as you continue to watch it. I think you're only going to get more on each way through, you know what I mean? I think it's a very
It's
rich
like
movie.
Hereditary in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
way.
I think he does have like a really strong directorial voice and perspective. And so I think if I watch this again and again, my rating might just continue to go up. But for right now, I was still kind of like expecting to like it more than I did. And it's not necessarily my favorite space in the genre. But I thought it was good. I thought it did a lot of interesting stuff. I thought there was a lot of rich detail work in there that will only be more appreciated the more that you see it. But I'm not necessarily going to be like recommending Longlegs to my friends when they're like, what horror movie should I watch? So for me, it just like wasn't quite to my tastes. But I very much respect what it's doing. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Cool. I think that's totally fair.
So,
Cool.
Sydney,
What are we doing next week? Well, you know what we're doing next week? Well, I'm sorry. I must say,
is she going to
after
play something
our
on her phone?
no, I was gonna say after our lovely segmentos that we just did, because
Oh my
it's
God.
She said, "Oh, I didn't say it in the beginning. I wasn't paying attention. It got past me. I gotta get this on the record." All right,
Exactly.
girl.
We are going to beetle. What beetle is that? A beetle bug? A beetle dance? No, we are gonna health this thing and we're gonna Beetlejuice.
We're on a juice cleanse over here, and
Wow.
the juice
That
happens to be made
Whoa.
of beetle this time
The
around.
juice is on the loose, and that is a
Mhm.
Beetlejuice.
Well, there you go. Just be careful how many times you say it. Am I right?
We can't say it
Oh my
anymore. We've already
God.
said it twice.
But yeah, we realized we've never done it, and the sequel comes out in like 3 weeks or whatever. So
So we gotta be ready.
gotta get
Yep.
this one in there first, or we'll never be able to do the second one. So come on. But I'm excited. I think that Beetlejuice gives a fucking summer vibe.
She said it.
100%.
She said it. Oh, there he goes in the background.
Did you see a poodle?
Sorry. Well, I think it has to be the same person. I thought saying it. It's just said.
I guess see what the rules are when we watch the movie. But I do know from TikTok that the musical rules is that you have to say it 3 times back to back without saying anything in between same person. So
I think it has to be the same person. So I'm fine, actually. I've got the double on my side, and so I'm gonna be good. But yeah, I'm
who would
excited.
win in a
It's
fight,
it's a
the
fucking
devil or
classic.
Beetlejuice?
Also, I was literally Lydia Dietz for Halloween one year, so I have a full costume fucking in my closet ready
Perfect.
to
Okay,
go,
perfect.
bitch.
Can't
So it's gonna be great. um, but yeah, this is a great time for me to come up with a poll question. I almost forgot it again. What is a poll question for this?
Should it be why? I was gonna say, why do you think it's called Longlegs?
Well, what are the options?
He's really tall.
He's got his long legs on today.
Something said it was like
Does-
one of it was like he just liked the way that it sounded. Something it's related to like the long leg spider, the daddy long leg spider.
What about this where it's really stupid? And the question is, do you think he actually has long legs or just a really short torso?
Play.
And that's the question. Long legs or short torso.
Let's put it to the people.
We'll put it to the people.
The people
We're
want to
really-
voice
He
their
should have been
opinion.
Thank
signing
God
those
we're
letters
doing
short
this.
torso.
No.
What was he thinking?
Somebody needs to be asking these questions. Thank God we're film critics. Okay, well, we're coming to the end here. And so here's a little plug for our Patreon. Guess who's having a great time? All of us and all of our patrons every day in the Discord.
All
It's getting
day,
crazy.
every day.
All day, every day. We just did our first poll for the people to choose which movie we do for a whole episode. And it went very well. And it was very exciting. People asserted their voting
Opinions.
rights, their opinions. And it was beautiful. Democratic, some would say. I don't know.
We're prepping
just
for the
figuring.
election.
We're prepping for the election.
Oh,
No, we won't go there. But yeah, we're having a really great time in the Patreon, and we would love to have you join us. So if you feel so moved, please go to patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday and check out our beautiful peers and your tears on patreon.com. I said peers instead of tears because I misspoke and I tried to turn it into a thing. It didn't work. Anyway, why not leave us a 5-star review
well,
on
I was
Apple
thinking
Podcasts?
tears also, which is why I was like, what?
Oh no, like tears. Like we have 3 tiers.
Yeah, I got it
Yeah.
now. And so do the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
If anybody else was confused.
Anyway, 5-star review. Why don't you say, wow, great job having a Nicolas Cage pillow today, Monica. That really came in handy, finally.
That did come in
Finally,
handy. Yeah.
after all these years. I would love
I can't
to hear
believe we
that.
didn't use it during our Renfield episode.
I know.
I forgot that I had it. Also, it would be a great opportunity for you to just write something nice about Nicolas Cage and in our review box, and we'll get that to him for sure. Well, he'll see it, and that's a
If
great.
you have something
express your
to say
feelings
to
to
our
Nick.
close friend Oz, you can also pass that
Mhm.
along.
Yeah, Oz, our guy, Oz.
Oz, our guy.
That's bestie.
And why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on pretty much everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we are at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And you should check out our website, spookytuesdaypod.com. It's very sexy. You can leave us a note. It's very exciting. It's wonderful. I don't know. You should check it out. And also, you should look at us on YouTube. You could see our mouths moving and these words coming out of them. Oh my
And
God,
you
it's
can
crazy.
see Nicolas Cage.
You could see.
Nicolas
You don't you want to see the gag
He's
with the
here.
pillow? As Monica
pillow
made it more
gag.
bloody.
It was great. I've made him have little heart eyes before too with this. It's very fun. I can't do it right now. I don't have the dexterity for that right now.
Not under pressure.
It's too hard. It's too much. But yeah, we're on YouTube and we're having a really good time over there. So go like and subscribe, as the YouTubers say. I choked while I said that, so I think I was cursed by saying the cringe like and subscribe thing. But anyway,
Wow.
we love you. Thank you for listening. See you next Tuesday.
Bye, spooky.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.